Hello, it's Heather with Prescriptive Living. This is where savvy singles come every week to get tips to fail-proof life and love. This week, we're going to do something different. And the reason we're doing it is everything that is happening right now with Prescriptive Living is preparation to have our web presence, all of our offers, everything kind of coming together so that those who need breakthroughs and transformations inside their own life and inside their relationships are going to be able to get it on demand as needed. So it's something we've been working on, and we're now at that point where it is about to happen, and I'm real excited, really excited. So I wanted to share, I get asked a lot about different aspects about how I even came into doing what I'm doing with the programs I offer at Prescriptive Living. And there's a long story, a long backdrop. And so this week, I'm actually going to share that story here, and I'm even going to share it again on my personal Facebook page on Whimsical Wednesday this coming up week, just because a lot of getting this all brought together involves kind of putting my story out there just a bit to put context into the scenario. So I'm going to go back almost to the time when I was just a little sperm. Just kidding. We're not going back that far. But when I was little, when I was a child, I really wanted to be a psychiatrist. It was one of the only things that interested me. And my dad told me no way. He's like, they are all crazy. And not necessarily all true, but that was something he planted in my mind. And turns out I wasn't very good at science anyway, and wasn't all that interested in learning all of that. And so I never really pursued a career to become a psychotherapist. And the truth is, even if I would have tried to do it, I would not have enjoyed it, because one thing about my personality, it's very strong, is I don't like doing the same thing over and over again. I like to get information that's needed to progress forward and progress. And I can't circle the same mountain over and over again. It drives me absolutely batty. I would probably fire most of my patients and not have a practice if I were to follow that path. So it's a good thing I didn't do all of that, because I probably would be terrible at it. But what had happened is that love inside of me never went away. And as time went on, I ended up getting into sales. I knew that that was really what I was really naturally good at, and ended up working in the pharmaceutical industry. Ended up working with primary care doctors and psychiatrists selling antidepressants of all things. And it was very exciting because that was an industry and field that I always loved anyway. And it was very alarming to me to learn as I entered the industry that medicines actually were helpful, but not actually the answer. They weren't really healing people. They were just making the body think it was acting or functioning in a normal way, because the drugs would manipulate different receptors, things like that, to give different artificial senses of well-being, when the reality is that there was a void, and there was a reason that there was a void. And a lot of the practice that I got exposed to was not getting to the root issues of any of the problems. And as I progressed in my career at this time, I started getting to the root issues of some of the aspects in my life. And I'm going to share a little bit about my personal story, because on the surface, I looked like I had it all together. I had great friends. I had a very vibrant social life. I went out every day. I had an amazing, handsome boyfriend. I was one of the top performers in the pharmaceutical industry. In the company I was with in my division, I didn't work very hard. I entertained. I had a ton of benefits. I had my own house, a cute dog to boot, all of this stuff. Everything looked great. I lacked nothing. But inside, I was dead. I literally medicated my pain with all sorts of things: coffee, at times even nicotine, alcohol, shopping, food. All of these things became my therapy and my medicine, because inside I was so unhappy with who I was. Even though there was, on the surface level, there was nothing that gave any indication that things were wrong. And so I ended up going on this journey for a number of reasons of self-discovery. And as I began to get healing in my heart and in my mind, I actually started experiencing supernatural healing, where I literally had uncurable conditions vanish from my body. Now, putting this in perspective, when you're working in an industry where you are selling drugs to people and promoting the use of drugs, and realizing that drugs are a Band-Aid and not necessarily the root source, and you're getting root source healing, and it's not only transforming your mind and your heart, but it's transforming your physical health too, you end up in a little bit of a situation, because at that point you have to say, can I keep selling the counterfeit when I know there's more that's available? And the challenging thing is, I was a girl in my 20s. I was in my mid-20s. I'm experiencing all of this stuff, but I really, when you're in a position where you're working maybe 20 hours a week and you have all of these benefits and it's really easy for you to do, and you're just, to walk away from that and to try to do something different is really hard, because that position was known as the golden handcuffs. It was so good that to walk away from it, where in the world are you going to go from there? Anything you go to is not going to be anywhere remotely as fulfilling as, taking as good of care of their employees as they do. All of these things were going on. And so I was struggling significantly, because I had already gotten my doctors to do what I needed them to do with my prescribing of my medicines. They were using it where they should have been using it now, because I was telling them for 4 years, every single couple weeks, who they needed to be using my medicines for optimum results on, and they were doing it. And so there was nothing new I was bringing to the table. And I was stumped. So I got to a point where the internal struggle became so strong inside of me that I decided that I was going to resign and have to give back my company car. And you have to think about this, and that when I was making this decision, I literally did not know what I was going to do at all. I had no idea what I was going to do, other than I knew I couldn't do that anymore. And I wanted to bring more root healing inside of people's lives that I was experiencing, because it transformed my life, not only, like I said, emotionally and, my passion, all of this, but it changed my physical body too. And so I quit. And I didn't have a financial backup plan. I didn't have anything. Like, I had to go buy my own car, buy insurance, do all the things that normal people do. I spent so much money on entertainment and food every day that I couldn't spend any money, because I wasn't bringing in income. I had a mortgage. I had to incur expenses that I didn't used to have. And in the process of doing all this, about 1 to 2 weeks in, I went to sleep one night, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and there was just this unction on my heart to get up. And I didn't want to do it. I did not want to get up. It's like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, somewhere in that realm. And it just wouldn't leave. Get up, get up, get up. And I'm like, no, I'm not getting up. Well, finally, I got up, because it wasn't going away. And I walked down to a table, and I just wrote down on a piece of paper what was on my heart, and it became the outline for a book. And the outline of the book was really about how we were designed to live and operate. And really a lot of the concepts of which allowed me to get soul healing and physical healing inside my own life. And so I'm like, okay, now I have a purpose. Now I know what I'm going to do. And sharing all this story, a lot of what I was doing in that time was getting to do the things that I was most passionate about. The kind of like the healing people at the root, which is what I thought psychiatry really was about. But as I was working in the pharma industry, a lot of it came down to working with a lot of complex meds and doing different things like that. There was at times some root healing going on, but there was a lot of drugs coming into play. And, when people are in a difficult state, sometimes it's circumstantial and sometimes like environmental, and other times it's biochemical or a combination of both. And these are kind of the things that can make people in these realms, just not feel fully up to snuff. And so I'm not saying that drugs are bad. I'm not saying that any of this is not beneficial. There are definitely places where all of these things are really helpful and needed. But what I was experiencing was I wanted to offer more and offer new ways to do it. Well, I founded a nonprofit. I did all of these different things. And there were people who were speaking messages to me, encouraging me, going, you're going to be this big tree that has a lot of life-giving branches that are really going to help a lot of people. And I was really excited by it. It seemed very overwhelming. It didn't make a lot of sense at all. And many people kept saying the same type of message to me. And finally, someone spoke to me, and they spoke exactly what made sense. They said it, they were actually laughing at me. And they said, I have this visual, and I just see this tree with all these branches, but it's got this little tiny root system, and so it just keeps falling flat on its face. And I said, oh my gosh, finally, someone is saying something to me that makes perfect sense. I said, yeah, that sounds more realistic. And I get that. I definitely, am not really established and rooted, but I didn't really know that. And so for the next 15 years, I literally went through so much trial, not knowing that I was really doing it to establish the work that I'm doing and getting ready to really launch. I so much like in the root developing of the roots, it was so hard for me that I honestly didn't want to ever do any of that work. I didn't ever really want to get to a place where I was trying to help transform individual people's lives, because it was such a hard, difficult journey for me to go through everything that I went through. And I just said, I've lost interest in doing that. I'm going to do other things. I'm going to build my life in different ways. And that was 100% what I got really committed to do, and was kind of progressing along. And about 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, to my surprise, my heart became reignited with this flame to transform people's lives, to the point where I got to the place where nothing else actually excites me or satisfies. And so I just said, I'm going for it, because there's nothing else that I really want to do. And so I wanted to share all of that, because some of what I've been, putting together, I've been playing around with different marketing materials, different giveaways, different things like that, as we're getting ready to launch all of these programs and our websites and community outreach programs to kids. We don't want kiddos to ever feel bad about who they are. Suicide epidemics are off the charts with kids and adults. Kids 7 times what it used to be, adults 3 times what it used to be. There's just a lot going on, and there needs to be additional ways to transform and help people get what they need to break through inside their life and love. And so we're getting ready to make pathways for people to do this. And it's real excited. There is a full army of people that I'm surrounding myself with right now who are helping me on this journey. And I definitely could not do any of it without them. And so I'm so incredibly grateful. One of the things I was sharing is this is just a little notepad I ordered for myself. And it just says prescriptive living. And then it says remove the weeds, plant new seeds. And it's got this tree in the heart. And I've been making versions that I give away for marketing materials at times. And here is just the stickers. They're a little bit different. They say time to soar because that's what the name of the website is going to be. And then it just says my hidden agenda. And it's got that tree with a heart inside. But the reason that whole symbol of that tree with the heart and all of that, there is symbolism in that. And that is why I wanted to share a little bit about this story and the backdrop. When you're getting ready to create your content for your website, things like that, if you ever have done anything, professionals who are copywriters, they'll often encourage you to start with your own personal testimony or story page, the About You page, because it kind of helps frame a lot of what's going to be out there. People, want to know, like, if there's value in them when they come to your site. That's what they want to know right away. And then they want to know, like, who is this person? Can they help me or not? And so kind of creating that story, I've been challenged to think about what do I want to talk about, because there's a lot of different things, a lot of different angles I could go in some of the stories. The website, once it launches, you're going to see there's a lot of divisions to it. There's personal transformations where we remove over 90% of the struggle that individuals face in their life and or relationships and help them get that out of the way so that they can successfully get where they're going and enjoy their life more. Relationship, again, only about 1 out of 10 couples are thriving. We want to help people who are single especially, but we can help people in relationships as well, be able to do all of the things that are necessary to have a beautiful, vibrant relationship. We want to help men have a place where they can get fully empowered and equipped to be able to rock their relationships, their life with skill and confidence. We've got a program for corporate leadership where we show corporations how to develop leaders and teams that are engaged and happy to be in that environment and productive and profitable for the organizations. We have a division for kids where we're going to this is our giving back arm, where we're going to help kids get their wings to soar. No child ever needs to feel bad about who they are. We're going to give them that understanding, empower them, and equip them with tools in their tool belt to deal with tough stuff when it comes their way if they don't have good support systems surrounding them. So that is going to be a program we're getting ready to launch. And then the final arm is really about holistic wellness and living, and it has nothing to do with superfoods or nutrition or anything like that. Those are in the weed nuances of how people might go about it. It's about being a holistic human being, which makes up not only our flesh, our body, but also our soul, which is mind, will, and emotions, which is what I work mostly on transforming, breakthroughs inside of people's lives through different processes in this realm. And then the final is the spiritual. Sometimes I think people really get confused they call their spiritual path or their spiritual journey what is really trying to find a way to get peace in their soul. And anytime you're using the spiritual as a thing that's about internal, I think the point gets missed. I think it's just miscalled spiritual. I think it's really soul nurturing, mind, will, and emotion nurturing. Calling it spiritual because sometimes understanding of all that makes up the human existence can get a little confusing for people, especially if they're not nurturing all of these aspects. Usually when we're talking about spiritual, it's a very personalized journey. It's something everyone has to develop and explore on their own, but it's really about their contributions, service, and value. It's not so much about what I'm getting for me. That is really about soul stuff. So the spiritual, when it's operating in its proper fashion, is more about the contribution. There are a lot of things we can expand on that, not going too far down those weeds today, but those are the things that are going to be available in the website. There's going to be courses and training, all 100% guaranteed. And, you know, again, we're hoping to have all of this really launched and available in April. So there is a ton going on right now to make all of that happen. And we're really excited. I firmly believe that to change the world really does happen one heart at a time. One heart at a time is what changes the world, because people, once they become alive and become confident and assured in their uniqueness, their contribution, who they were made to be, and start operating in that zone, they start to make great ripples with their impact. And it ends up being a spiral that just creates a good amount of goodness in the wake. And we all were made for a unique purpose, with a unique design, with major gifts that we should not allow to stay buried inside. We need to find them, discover them, nurture them, and release them for our benefit, for others' benefit. And so that is really what we're about to do on a launch scale. Again, we're real excited. We appreciate you watching and joining us. And I just want to say cheers to living and loving well. If you liked the content, be sure to subscribe, like, share, pass it around. Do what you want to do from that perspective. We appreciate it. We welcome it. And connect with us on Prescriptive Living's Facebook page. We're going to be launching our community group, which is a private group called the Love Movement. And it's going to be a place where people can go and get nurtured and supported by the community for different layers of breakthrough. There's just a lot of really great things that are about to happen. And we want to invite you to be on this journey with us. If you need more peace in your life, you need more purpose, more passion, more connection, all of these things, get connected, because this is what we're going to help enable you to do with much greater ease. We're all about taking away the disease and bringing in the ease. So cheers to living and loving well. We'll see you all next week, and bye.